Well, now joining us from London is Mr. Riza Vidadi, academic researcher and author. I'd like to thank you very much, Mr. Vidadi, for joining us during this hour's broadcast. In regards to these talks that are to take place this Friday in Istanbul, I mean, how would you specifically, as a researcher, as an academic, describe the Islamic Republic of Iran's steadfastness and patience? I mean, when it comes to these talks, everyone said that's it. Diplomacy is out of the window. But again, time and time again, Iran comes back saying we're willing to do this to lift the sanctions. We're willing to do what we can for the rights of the Iranian nation.
So I believe if you refer back to Ayatollah Khamenei's speech from a week or so ago, where he said that Iran acts with two fists. One is the fist of diplomacy, and the other one is the fist of military power. The military in the 12 days proved itself. It demonstrated to the Israelis, to the United States and its allies in Europe that there's no military solution. If they go down that route, Israel and its allies will suffer grave consequences beyond their comprehension. So now lies the part where Western allies, the United States and its European allies and Israel, utilize all the international government bodies like the IAEA, UN Security Council, and other agencies to promote their agenda, their narrative. And so what Iran is doing is demonstrating, and in that interview with Mr. Arabchi, Dr. Arabchi, with the Fox journalist presenter, he was speaking, I think, directly to the American audience who watched that channel, who watched that particular conservative channel, to say that we're not after war, we're not after conflict. And he reiterated constantly that we want to negotiate, we would like to settle this through diplomacy. And so he was speaking to that audience. And so that's the part that at the moment is active, is the diplomacy part of Iran, demonstrating to the countries and the people who don't know Iran well that there is no military option, and Iran is willing to negotiate to come to a win-win situation. I remember he referred to.
And Mr. Vidadi, I mean, let's just remind our viewers that this JCPOA snapback mechanism does indeed expire in October. And again, as we did hear from the Deputy Foreign Minister, Qasem Gharibabadi, and others, of course, over the last few weeks, that the European Troika has no legal ground to trigger it. So we're going to see the Islamic Republic go into these negotiations. We're going to go ahead and see perhaps rounds of continuous negotiations, whether in Turkey or elsewhere. Do you believe that these negotiations will indeed matter, or do you believe that, as we know, the snapback mechanism just needs one member to trigger it? Do you think it's automatic to happen in October?
So with the snapback, this was a weak clause that unfortunately the Iranian negotiating team allowed it to creep into the JCPOA. However, what is done 10 years ago. Now it's something that has to be dealt with. Now the European countries, so the United Kingdom, France, and Germany, are using this as a kind of a diplomacy weapon to try and threaten Iran. Now Iran is already sanctioned. United States not only has first sanctions, so the United States companies and organizations can't interact with Iran, but it sanctions anybody else that interacts with Iran as well. And so there is already the kind of sanction that the Europeans want to impose on Iran. So that's not a big threat to Iran. Iran will continue trading with China, Russia. Russia is a sanctioned country, and other global South countries, and it's becoming a prominent part of BRICS. And so if the European countries do go ahead and somehow persuade the UN Security Council to impose the previous sanctions that they're threatening with, their snapback, what will probably happen, and we've heard this from the Iranian parliament committee members, state security members, stating that they will then completely leave the NPT, and there will be no limits on the level of enrichment, even up to 90% and even beyond. And so if the European countries do go forward with this snapback, they will actually stab themselves, because then they'll have no diplomatic pressure on Iran. There's nothing left that they can pressure Iran with. There is no NPT involved anymore. NPT will be left. And then there's no way to monitor the level of enrichment that Iran has, which is what they claim to be the reason for all of this conflict and all of this. We really know that it's regime change that they want. They want a government or a system in Iran that is subservient to the United States and its allies, and that's never going to happen. So their negotiation, I don't really believe they genuinely want to negotiate, like America didn't want to negotiate when they were speaking to Dr. Arakchi. But I believe Iran is doing the right thing by playing their diplomatic game and showing its other partners, China and Russia, that it's a responsible play. And this is something that's come out in the last 2 years. And we see that Israel, the United States, and its European allies are the least responsible. And the most responsible countries are those who have been demonized for the last 30, 40, 50 years in media and politics and think tanks. Iran and its allies have been the ones who have always acted in a responsible way.
Well, with that, I'd like to thank you very much for joining.